All right, boys and girls. Today, we're gonna make some monsters. And these monsters, we're gonna use different lines and shapes to create them. And then we're gonna color them using complementary colors. So I'm gonna find a new page in my sketchbook. You can work on a new page or the back of one. I like to fold the cover underneath just so I have a nice big space. And now I'm gonna draw the shape of my monster. Now you can draw the whole monster if you want to, or you can just draw part of it. You can also have it facing portrait style, nice and tall, or landscape. I think I'm gonna go for landscape this time, and I'm only gonna show part of my monster. So I'm gonna start with a shape or a line. So I'm gonna draw a nice curved line for the top of my monster. So I like to start off the edge just to give it a little bit of interest. So I draw my line right off the edge of the page, just like that. Now I'm gonna add details. So now that I have his body, I'm gonna start adding things. Now, because he's a monster, he can have lots of different body parts, whatever you want. So the first body part I'm gonna add is a hand. And he doesn't have to have the same amount of fingers as we do because he's a monster. And you can add fingernails, you can add claws, all kinds of cool stuff. And I'm gonna add some eyes now. I always like to make one big and one small. And of course, since we are doing this in pencil, you can erase some of your lines. So now I'm going to continue to add more details to my monster. All right, now I'm happy with my monster. I can, of course, erase anything I don't like. And now it's time to outline him. So I'm going to go ahead and outline him in a dark pencil, or you can use a marker or pen. So now it's time to outline. All right, now he's all outlined. I might add a few more details before I start to add color. Maybe some pattern on him or something. So here we go. All right, boys and girls. So now that my monster is all outlined, I added some patterns in the background. And of course, I colored some in with my black pen just to make it nice and bold. And now I'm ready to add color. And today's lesson is actually about color. So in order to help us with color, we need the color wheel. And the color wheel helps us to figure out which colors look greatest together. And today, we're gonna be learning about complementary colors. And complementary colors are opposite on the color wheel. So if I choose red, red's complement is green. If I choose orange, orange's complement is blue. And if I choose purple, purple's complement is yellow. Now you'll notice a lot more colors on the color wheel, but those are also complementary colors. So yellow-green is complement to red-violet. Blue-green is complementary to red-orange. And blue-violet is complementary to yellow-orange. But we're gonna focus just on our regular colors of our color wheel. So I have my paint set up, and I'm gonna paint my monster. Now, if you don't wanna paint, if you wanna use colored pencils or markers or crayons, that is completely up to you. Now, I like to add a little placemat underneath mine. That way I don't get any paint on the next page. And of course, I have my watercolors And I have my water bucket. And I have a few other colors here too, black, white, and brown. Probably won't need those, but just in case. So now I'm getting ready to paint. So I make sure my brush is nice and wet. I might prime my colors by adding some water just to loosen them up. I always clean in between just so I don't mix up my paints. So, all right, now I'm ready. So I think my complementary colors today are gonna be, I think purple and yellow are gonna be my complementary colors. All right, so let's do that. I think I'm gonna make my monster yellow and my background purple. So here I go, get my brush nice and wet, tap it 3 times, and now I'm gonna go ahead and paint. Hey, boys and girls. So I added my complementary colors, yellow and purple. And I think I'm gonna pick 2 more complementary colors. So I'm gonna add some orange, I think, to those spots, and maybe some blue to my other stripes. Now you might have seen me add some salt when the paint is still wet. It does a really cool effect. So I like to add just a little bit of salt on top. So that's optional. All right, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish painting my monster. All right, boys and girls, I think my piece is all finished. Maybe a couple more sprinkles of salt. I can rub that salt off after it's dry, but I'm gonna add a couple little specks. You guys know I like to do this in class, so I'll teach you how to do it. Now make sure you have placemats and that your parents let you know that you're doing this, because it does make a mess. So I'm gonna move my paint palette out of the way. Anything I don't want color on, I move out of the way. So I take my brush, get it nice and wet, add some water, just a couple taps, and I like to go up nice and high. I take my hand and I tap the brush. I only have to do this once because it really does splatter pretty well. Maybe I'll do it a few times, get some more splatters. So it just gives us more dimension, and if I made any mistakes, it'll cover them up nicely. So I just add a couple little splatters. Okay, and now my monster is complete. I hope you all had fun. I know I did, and see you later.